All right, guys, good evening. Futures Brizio here, coming at you again from the hotel. It is Thursday, May 15th, 8:30 p.m. New York City time. And I hope everybody had a good day. I got a little cold here, so I sound a little weird. That's why. But let's just jump right in, bring you up to speed on these markets from today uh, versus what we were talking about this time last night. And so, this time last night, let's see, we're at 1600. This is about where we were last night. So, what I was talking about last night with Aussie USD, this is the 4-hour chart. Remember, I was saying that we had put in a higher low, a lower high here, and we're working our way down, and that is actually what happened here. We did after throwing a wick. This was probably during maybe the beginning of the London session right here. Right in this area, and then we did proceed to go down over the next, 15, 16, 20 hours here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, we're on the fifth candle now. So we did go down pretty strongly, and looks like we're still heading down. So on this particular pair, I would continue probably to look for short positions, at least probably back to this old level right here. You can see this level has held price numerous times, just looking back in time here. And it was previous resistance and it's been previous support somewhere around that. What is that? I can't read that number. Somewhere around the 63, 60 zone, somewhere in there. And so I think price probably will get down there again. And what it does at that point, I don't know. We'll have to see. Again, we did put in this lower high up here. So I wouldn't be surprised if, the next time it gets down here, if it breaks and keeps going lower, but we'll have to see. But a short term target, at least for me, would be back to here. So I'd be looking for some kind of entry. If we go down all the way down to a 15-minute chart, you can see we've been kind of correcting sideways up here since I guess probably since the close of the New York session earlier, a few hours ago. And so we'll have to see what happens, but this does look fairly bearish. And again, at least back to this level here. So it's not too far off, but it's only about 45 pips from where these lows were put in before. But it is a place of management anyways. And it's pretty much ditto for the Kiwi USD. Again, we're certainly trending down. It's not an ideal place for an entry because, again, we are approaching, a swing low down here. So certainly price will react off of this. Doesn't mean it's going to just turn and rally and go back higher. I'm not saying that. It could, but obviously there will be a reaction because everybody sees this level. And if we look to the left, this area has also been resistance and support before. So again, this area for the Kiwi USD, somewhere around that 58.50 zone, is probably an area price is going to react from. And again, that's not too far off from where we are right now. It's somewhere about 25, 30 pips. But at least in the short term, that does look like, we'll see some downward price action. This trade on Euro USD, I had this on last night when I made the video, and I still have it on. You can see price did absolutely nothing today. It moved sideways the whole day, and it's still moving sideways. It's in a little bit of drawdown right now. This is the 4-hour chart. If we drill down a little bit to the 1-hour chart, we're still sitting here. I basically had my stop like up here where this arrow is last night. I moved it down. I probably can adjust this a little bit more because at this point, prices tried to push up a couple of times from this level. I think, if it does come up here, although again, I probably will move this stop loss a little higher, maybe a couple of pips above these highs, just to give it a slight amount of breathing room. But in my opinion, if it comes up here and tries to tag this area again and break through it, the next time it probably will go higher. And so I don't really think at this point there's any point having it a stop loss way up here. This might still be a little bit aggressive stop loss. Maybe I move it up to here. But essentially, I don't think there's any point to have it up here anymore. Price is obviously proven that at this time, it's either going to go down from here or it's going to rally higher, and I don't think there's any reason to let it come all the way up here and stop me out above this swing. I put it there initially just, for any volatility, but I don't think that's, we're going to see that at this point. So anyways, I'm going to hold this and we'll see what happens. USD yen. So this one's a little bit of a conflict because, again, if we're talking about euro dollar, Aussie dollar, Kiwi dollar going down, theoretically the dollar yen should be going up. Although this is probably driven more by the, perhaps this is being driven more by the yen than it is by the USD. Actually, let's just take a look at another yen pair. Um, let's look at maybe euro yen or pound yen and see what that's doing. I don't follow those pairs. But yeah, I mean, you can see we have a pretty obvious downtrend on these two. So this is, I think, is being driven by the yen, not so much by the US dollar. So that one's not so much of a conflict. Although, again, we are approaching a 1 hour swing zone right here where this line is. And then the 4 hour zone is further down, down in here. Actually, this is probably a valid 4 hour zone too. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, a bounce from here and going higher would help the theory with the Aussie, Euro, and Kiwi dollar all going lower, because if this does bounce and move up, that would strengthen the US dollar and potentially, cause the down moves on these other three pairs to accelerate. So, but when you throw the yen into the mix, that always can cause a little bit of conflict sometimes with some of the other pairs. And of course, on the pound USD, again, much like the Aussie, Euro, and Kiwi USD, this one doesn't look exactly the same, but again, we have a trend line across here. Price did bounce off that trend line again, came down a little bit, and then today we basically just again corrected higher. And so again, as long as we hold this trend line, essentially I wouldn't be looking to short any long anything unless price takes out this structure. This is just trend line liquidity, where a lot of times what happens is price will come up, wick through this trend line. People think it's a trend line breakout. They go long only to have it reverse and go down. That's why, you have to certainly look to the left. And to me, the structure levels are much more important than a trend line. The trend line really can just really create a lot of issues in terms of just being a liquidity trap, where people are just trading a trend line break. That's really just a sweep and a trap, and then go long, go short. And you can see, these are Heikin-Ashi candles again, guys. You can see how bearish this move down is. Look at all these Heikin-Ashi candles with no upper wicks on this push down. Very, very impulsive. And then, the move back up is lots of small candles with wicks on both sides. And even the ones that are flat bottomed over here, they're very small range. So, again, not sure 100%, never are, but essentially, as long as price holds this swing up here, then you have to assume still that this is going to go down. And US dollar Canadian, again, a little bit of a conflict here as we seem to be trending down on this, but again, Canadian dollar can throw a little bit of a mix in there. So what we should probably look at here is US dollar Swiss, which is kind of like the inverse of the Euro USD. So on this one, let's go out to the 4 hour. Yeah, I mean, again, a little bit of a conflict, right? We've got a downtrend, but we do have this swing low sitting right here. So let's see what happens, which also, if you look to the left, comes in line with being previous resistance, now acting as support. So it's much the same story as I talked about last night. There is a little conflict on these USD charts. But overall, they're not always going to line up exactly, and the timing could be different. That's the issue. So let's say US dollar Swiss is going to strengthen and go up. Well, obviously, it's pretty close to being there. Um, and whereas these pairs here can go a lot lower, and so you could have dollar Swiss tag this low, start to go up, and then that just continues to push these guys down. It doesn't mean it's a conflict. It just means that sometimes it's just a timing issue. They're not always going to line up totally mirror image of each other. So we have to just kind of wait and see. But that's how why you use correlated pairs, like US dollar Swiss versus like Euro USD, and just look at these similarly correlated pairs like all the USD crosses, and you can get a good feeling from there, what it's potentially doing. So, but again, there's never any guarantee, and so we just have to wait and see as we go forward here what it does. I thought we would get a little bit more today, but we did get some. Like I said, the Kiwi dollar did move down. Go out to the hourly chart. Did move down, but not very much. The Aussie dollar um, moved down a little bit more and seems to be correcting. So again, I think these major swing points here are good trade management ideas, and this definitely looks corrective. So I would certainly expect that at some point we'll see price, push down lower on this. So, we just whether it corrects up more during the night or we get a liquidity sweep during London and then it goes down, that remains to be seen. But overall, look, we're making lower highs, lower lows, and I don't think there's a reason to necessarily change that until we get back to an area where there was a turn before, which is down here. All right, so that's what I'm looking for there. And just quickly jumping over to futures. So we just continue to tank here on natural gas. This was the support level I drew in last night. We've now taken that out. So I'm going to take that off the chart. We've now broken that zone. And so I think the next kind of area to look at, I mean, there might be a little reaction from this area right here, but I really think, we probably will get down to, somewhere in this area before we see a big reaction. I don't think we'll see too much from this. This is really, to me, is not really much at all. I mean, if this didn't reverse the area, I don't really think this will either. So we'll see how that goes. All right, and then for crude oil, again, we'll jump out to a little higher time frame. Here's the 4-hour chart. And again, we did breach. We had this area again drawn last night at this swing low right here. Price did breach it today. We had, at least 2 4-hour candles breach that. We've now moved back up here in the last 12 hours or so. And so we've got this area right here. And overall, I do think we'll be heading lower if we can hold this area right here. Again, we might get a little bit more of a push higher here, but overall, I still think this is looking downwards. I did have this price alarm that was set here. Price never tagged into it today because it corrected off that zone, which is fine. I probably will just move that up a little bit to try to catch the leg down, like move it up to like maybe a little bit below all of these lows. So if price does start to move lower, I'll get notified. Doesn't mean I'll take the trade, but at least I'm aware that it looks like price is, heading down. So this way here, if price starts to continue to move up here, that's fine. I won't get tagged into anything. I'm not going to just get myself into a big drawdown if I don't have to. And then we'll just wait and see what happens. But again, this looks pretty bearish overall, and price, as you can see, is really hung up at this previous support area, now acting as resistance. So again, if we get some good solid bearish action down to the downside, that would be a nice short to continue this down. And obviously, with the Heikin-Ashi candles kind of smoothing out this action, I always look to where's the next swing point that could be a management place, and that's way down here. So we can actually, I'm going to take this one off the chart just to keep it relatively clean. We can see clearly that we've broken this zone right here and, you know, have put in a small correction so far here on the 4 hour. All right, so that's about it, guys. Um, keep it short and sweet. Tomorrow's Friday, so you know the always disclaimer on Friday is that whatever price action we get will probably be pretty early in the day. Things tend to quiet down pretty fast on Friday afternoon as the volume kind of drains out of the market. So any moves we get, expect them to be, you know, within the first few hours of the open, and then we'll probably just kind of like drift the rest of the afternoon heading into the weekend close. All right. So, anyways, guys, that's it. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Questions or comments, leave them down below. And I probably 90% sure I will not be making a video tomorrow. I'm going to be traveling back home tomorrow, so tomorrow afternoon. So I'm probably not going to have time, but perhaps over the weekend, I'll make a wrap up from the week and maybe a look ahead, just see what happens. So maybe on Saturday or Sunday, I'll do that. Okay. So if I don't talk to you, have a great Friday, and hopefully we'll catch up soon. Again, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and leave questions or comments. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.